Hey guys, my name is Anna Maria, you're very welcome to my channel, and today I want to film a Q&A video because you've asked me so many questions on Instagram, on YouTube, and you posted so many comments, and I'm very thankful to you. Probably you have noticed that I did not reply to very many of your questions, unfortunately, because I am back to work, so I do not work from home anymore. I have to drive again, and of course I'm extremely excited and very happy, but it also takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I have less time left to reply to your questions. This is why I thought that I'm gonna make a Q&A video, and I'm gonna reply here in this video, and maybe it's going to help more people, you know, because I'm sure that more people would have similar questions, and very often I get many questions that do repeat, so it might be very helpful for you. Cool, let's start. Question number one is, how is life in small towns of Ireland? To be honest, guys, I have never lived in small towns in Ireland or in general in small towns in my life. I have always lived in capital cities in every country that I've been in, and I love capital cities. I love the buzz, I love loads of people, I love the stress, I love busy cities. So I have never lived in small towns, unfortunately. I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, but I never did. But I know people who lived in smaller towns, and I know that very often they wanted to move to big towns because, of course, in bigger cities there are loads of entertainments, there are loads of things that you can do. The way I look at the small towns here in Ireland is that they're of course very lovely, and they are very quiet. So I suppose that for a person who is more introverted, for a person who, I don't know, likes a very quiet, simple life, then of course you will enjoy living in small towns. You will be too stressed out from big cities, you know. But in general, I would say that the life should be extremely quiet. Probably if you work in those small towns and your work is very close to you, then you can just go there by public transport, or you can just walk. Or very often people live in smaller towns because the rent is much cheaper, and then they commute to work to some bigger cities, for example. And that's also a good thing, but it's great to have a car in this situation as well, because driving can really help, especially because, you know, it's very rainy, very windy, sometimes it can be very cold, so waiting for public transport from a smaller town to go to a bigger city can be very difficult. So I would suggest getting a car if you have to commute to work and just drive a long time. In terms of car, if you think that you're person similar to me, you know, and if you think that you are pretty sensitive like me, and if you are not ready to withstand all the difficulties that this world has to give you, all the wind and all the rain and stuff like this, then it's best to get a car for your mental health. But if you're a tough, strong person, if you are ready to go through all the difficulties of this world, then maybe you won't need a car, because of course most likely you have a very strong nervous system and you will be okay with rain, wind and cold. Question number two, is Ireland under Europe? I was not really sure if I do understand this correctly, but Ireland is located in Europe, on the European continent, and maybe you asked me about European Union. Yes, Ireland is a part of European Union. The next one is, have you got a car? Is the insurance expensive for young people? So yes, I have a car, but I almost pay nothing for the car that I have, and maybe I spend like 10 euro every 2 months for the car wash. And maybe I spend like 50 euro per year for the fuel. That's everything that I do spend, but I do have someone else who pays for my car. So insurance for young people in Ireland is not very cheap. Yes, it can be pretty expensive. It depends on a lot of factors, like on what kind of car you buy, how old the car is it hybrid, I don't know what kind of fuel it uses, maybe it is electrical and stuff like this. So you don't only pay insurance, you have to also take in consideration the road tax, you have to take in consideration NCT, fuel, service, and there are loads of expenses. Like for example, you also sometimes have have to pay parking, and you have to make sure that you have where to park your car. So car is not just insurance, car means loads of extra expenses. In my situation at the moment, I'm very lucky that I almost don't spend anything on my car, you know, so like 10 euro every 2 months for the car wash is nothing. But if you buy everything yourself, and if you have to look after that car yourself, then you have to make sure that you do consider all the costs. The next one is, what is the cost of living in Ireland for a month? Guys, I suggest you to watch my video about the expenses. I will leave a link in the description to this video so you can check what expenses I have. Also, you can watch, there are loads of YouTubers that talk about the expenses, the living costs in Ireland, and you can see what expenses you have. You can compare my expenses and someone else's expenses and make your general idea about how much money you will need. It's very hard to answer this question because the rent can be very different, because I don't know, your expenses, like your spending habits, can be extremely different from mine. For example, there are people who can save a lot of money. Like in my situation, I have absolutely no problem saving money and no problems cutting all my expenses. I know that there are people who can't live like me, for example, that they need to spend all the money that they have. So it's very difficult to answer this question, you know, but I would say that like a very rough number, try to have at least 1,400 euro. That should be okay to cover your expenses. Let's move on. Tell me about your Patreon group. You can subscribe to my Patreon, and in there you can ask me your questions. So I will make a video and I will answer your questions directly, or I will just text you the questions. So my Patreon gives you a more personalized service. It's not like you text me and then maybe in a video I will answer to your question, maybe. But I will directly answer your question and make sure that I do provide you with the information that you need. Is Ireland a good country to settle? So my answer is yes and no. It's very difficult to answer this question, guys, because you are very different. You are personalities and you are very different from me, okay? I suppose that Ireland is a very good country to settle in. It's actually a very lovely country if you are not dependent on the weather. If you are not weather dependent, you will love Ireland. You will be very happy because people speak English and people are lovely and friendly, and everyone is following the rules, the laws and the regulations, and yeah, I'm sure you will do really well. But if you are a very weather dependent person, I would say that Ireland is not a good country to settle in, okay? So I met loads of people who love it, who have enjoyed Ireland, and I don't know, maybe they got even some social benefits from Ireland and they love living in here, you know? I met people who worked really hard, they did not have the best jobs, they struggled a lot, they didn't like the weather and they left, you know? I know loads of people who plan to move here, I know loads of people who plan to stay and settle in here and buy properties, and I know loads of people who plan to leave Ireland, and the main reason is the weather. The next question is, how long until you can apply for Irish citizenship? Residence permit paperwork and waiting is a pain. So you can wait for 5 years and then you can apply for Irish citizenship, and if you are lucky, then in 6 years time from when you moved over, you will have the citizenship, and then you need to wait for the passport. So generally the whole process would take up to 7 years. In terms of resident permit and paperwork, I know it's a very difficult topic for loads of you, especially if you don't have an EU citizenship. In my situation, I'm very lucky. I am an EU citizen. I absolutely have no worries in terms of visas, paperwork. I absolutely have no connection to this. I don't have to deal with those things. I just have my EU passport. I came over and I can do whatever I want in any EU country because I'm an EU citizen. So yeah, I do feel you guys who have to go through that residence permit. I imagine how difficult it is. I imagine how much money you have to spend, how much you have to wait, and yeah, I know it's very, very difficult. So guys, if some of you have a chance to get an EU passport, make sure you do it. I know it's very difficult to live without an EU passport. So again, if you have a chance, do it. Even if you don't know if you will ever use it, it's best to have that EU citizenship. Cool. Did you work full-time while pursuing your degree? Yes, I did work full-time because I had no financial support at all, so I had to only rely on myself. So I studied part-time while working full-time. I also do understand that if you study engineering, or maybe if you do study medicine, law, it's almost impossible to study part-time because you need to dedicate yourself to studying. In my case, I studied business management, and of course business management is not the most difficult degree that you can do, so I of course was managing a full-time job. Again, it was very hard. I felt like I had absolutely no life while working and studying. Honestly, it was very difficult, but I'm really happy I did it. I worked full-time because I needed money to pay for rent, to pay for bills, to pay for my food, to survive. And of course, I wouldn't be able to afford everything if I was to work part-time. And I'm very happy I did full-time work because I was able to apply my knowledge, my college, my theory knowledge into the real life. And of course, I got really good experience, and I'm very proud with the experience that I got so far. Cool, and the 9th question, 2 more to go. Can you recommend me to an internship in your company? So somebody was chatting to me, and they texted me and they told me that, look, I'm looking for a job, can you recommend me? Guys, I absolutely have not heard of any internships in the company I work for. So first of all, I don't know about any internships. Secondly, I know about 20 or maybe 40 people that I personally know, that I personally worked with, and I would recommend them first. It's great that you try to build that connections, it's great that you try to build that experience, but yeah, I'm not probably the right person to recommend you because I don't know who you are. And of course, when I recommend someone, I have to make sure that that person is really good, that that person is reliable. Again, I have not heard of any internships or anything in the company I work for. This is why I cannot recommend anything to anyone. And the last question is, which camera do you use? So I do not use a camera. I'm okay with using my mobile devices because the camera on my mobile devices is fine, is okay. I do not have millions of subscribers, you know, to buy a camera, but at some point I will definitely get myself a camera. Maybe when I'll have about 25,000 subscribers, then I can get it. But at the moment, I'm okay using my mobile phones. Now I'm filming on the S10 5G, sometimes I'm filming on a Note 20, sometimes I'm filming on S21 Plus or S21 Ultra. It depends on what device I have with myself, so I'm very often using that device, but I'm filming on S10 5G at the moment because it has a headphone jack and I can connect my microphone to the headphone jack, because the other devices have only a Type-C connection, they do not have a headphone jack, so of course I cannot connect my microphone to those devices. I need to find like an adapter, but I bought one, but that adapter doesn't work, so I have to find another adapter for my microphone and stuff like this. So yeah, I'm using my mobile devices to film my videos. Cool guys, I answered 10 of your questions. I hope they were interesting to you, and I will make sure to make more of these Q&A videos, and I will answer more of your questions. Again, I'm very sorry that I did not manage to reply to you all. I'm back to work, I'm trying to manage my full-time job and a lot of education and a lot of things in my personal life and stuff like this, so it's not that easy. But thanks a lot for watching me, I really do appreciate it. Make sure you give this video a like, you just subscribe to my channel and share my channel with other people who might be interested, because I have a goal to reach 10,000 subscribers and I can't wait to see 10,000 people subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching guys, I'm very happy to spend this time with you, and I will see you in my next video.